Good evening, viewers. We are back live to our Opportunity Wednesday. In studio today, we have Benard Abok. He's an agribusiness specialist. He will be guiding us through this topic, the triangle of successful farming. Perhaps I will welcome him to introduce what exactly the topic is and what he does. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Wekesa, for the opportunity to talk about the three pillars that make farming a successful venture. My name is Benard Abok, as you have said, and my occupation is farming and its accessories. And therefore, we are talking about agribusiness, which is totally different from agriculture. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what are these three pillars of farming, agribusiness?
Initially, people have been engaged in farming, and even today, people are engaged into farming. Yet, they may be only clicking either of the two of the pillars of the farming that makes it very successful, and they miss one, and that's why the name of agriculture or agribusiness or farming, as people may call it, has not been very, very good, especially with a certain section of the society. And therefore, these three pillars will, if you look at them keenly, they will make your farming to be successful. Number one, we talk about quality and safe production. And then number two, we talk about logistics and planning. And then number three, we talk about the markets. These three, if one of them is missing, then you are not in business, and therefore you are not in agribusiness. I've said production, logistics, and market access. All of them have to exist for you to call yourself a successful farmer. And therefore, we are going to look at each and every one of them in detail so that we get to understand if Wekesa today decides to do farming, what are you going to produce, or what are you going to do to make sure that it is the business that will make you a dynasty for that matter. Thank you.
Now, beginning with production. Are we doing enough in terms of production? We have been having challenges of food security.
Okay. Thank you for starting with that, because actually many people are talking about production as the starting point or as the beginning in farming, but I would say market should be the starting point, and therefore you'll allow me to move you from that question to the question of marketing, because ideally that is what is going to determine or to direct our discussion, and it's part of what we are trying to remove or to teach our people to move away from. That I have what I have learned, and I have capital, and therefore I'm going to produce. You are going to produce for who? And you are going to produce what? And therefore many people are involved in doing they are producing and then they are trying to sell, as opposed to selling what they can, as opposed to producing what they can sell. So when you try to sell what you have produced, you'll be frustrated. But when you produce what you can sell, then you will be a success. For example, today, if you want to do eggs farming, first you'll have to understand several things. Who are your competitors and where are they getting their products, and what is the gap which you are trying to address in that? And if you find that in your area eggs are coming from Uganda or even South Africa, yet you can also produce at a much lesser cost or similar cost, then that is the gap that you'll be trying to address. And then you go back and organize your resources and start now poultry farming as a business. It means the insights you've got from the market are the ones that are guiding you on what to produce. Once we go back there, then we'll talk about now the production. We are talking about missing links in our economy, which ideally is causing the food insecurity. For example, the other day I just saw in the areas of Kinangop and even Mau Narok, where Irish potatoes were are being sold even up to now at very, very throwaway prices. For example, a sack of 65 kgs is going for between 300 to 600 shillings. That means almost 1 kg is going for less than 10 shillings. And in other areas, as we speak now, people are dying because of hunger. So what does that tell you? There is a great disconnect. There is a great link which is missing, which is causing our country to face actually food insecurity. You realize that there are certain times in the history of this country where milk was being poured alongside the road. There are certain seasons where tomatoes were being thrown away or fed to the animals, which they were not even produced for. So there is a link which we just need to address as a country. We are not less in terms of production, but we can produce enough for our people. It's only that we are basing our production on rain-fed farming, which causes glut, and at some point is also causing deficits in the market. That is just one example. Of course, we have other examples like we know that our staple food is maize, and sometimes we produce more than what we can consume. But again, it's not taken care of by the government, and you still find hunger being stricken by other other regions being stricken by food insecurity. Yet we have produced enough, and also on the issue of government policies, you'll still find the government getting in maize. So really there is a big link which is missing in terms of connecting people with the food which is available to create that balance for those who are producing more and those who are producing less. Yes.
Okay. Let me share something that relates to what you have just said.
Tends to her chicken farm, a business that has been her source of livelihood since late 2012.
Nipenda kuku haina gharama, si kama ng'ombe na si kama shamba. Na tunaishi karibu na town na najua mahoteli nyingi.
With some support from her husband, Daisy raised 300,000 shillings as capital to buy her poultry business. She began with 300 birds, mostly comprising of broiler chicken, before diversifying into rearing of layers, after spotting an opportunity within her locality.
Na friends wangu wanafanya kazi hoteli, na tena hizo mahoteli walikuwa natoa kuku nini mayai reserve na mbali. Nikaona means of transport kwangu ni cheap, naweza pika kuku na shamba ni kubwa.
Daisy earns an average of 6,000 shillings every day from a brood of layers.
Currently niko na kuku 630, sana sana mayai 600 eggs which is 20 trays. Per tray nauza kwa hoteli in 300. Yeah. Per day napata 3,000 profit per day, which is 90,000 per month after kutoa ya worker, ya labor, and in case izikikonjeka nasapata roughly 60,000 per month.
The business' main cost is that of buying poultry feeds, which cost her about 4,400 shillings daily. Daisy also has to be ready to meet the cost of treating poultry disease outbreaks, which are a major risk to a commercial poultry farmer.
Kwanza ni feeds, kwa tunatumia company ya unga. Sometimes unga wanapandisha chakula, then ukicalculate huwezi pata kitu profit, but ni lazima ufuge kuku. Yeah. Ingine ni sometimes kama mwezi wa 8 kai inanyesha, diseases ni nyingi.
So, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, for Daisy, this fabled dilemma doesn't really matter, as she earns a decent income from selling the eggs and meat from her poultry.
Okay, that question of the chicken and the egg, maybe it brings us back to what you were saying, what comes first, market or production? And for her, she said she spotted an opportunity. There were hotels around her. Then she saw she can venture into the business. But there's also something she has talked about, that it was nearer, so for logistically, it was easier for her. So do we find her triangle well balanced in terms she considered the logistics and the market and then production? It's like she's our case study in this case.
Actually, she is one of the best examples of the the triangle clicking so well, because she started by saying that she identified a gap in her locality. That means after identification of the gap, she went ahead and looked at the resources that she had. Of course, I've heard her talking about enough space or enough land available for her. And then she went back and looked at the amount of capital that she needs to inject. So looking at it, she actually did a very good market research and found an immediate need to be satisfied. And then she started addressing that particular need. What makes me happy with her is that she started small with lesser chicken, and she has kept on increasing the number. This gave her several advantages. Number one, she was able to master the art of that of the farming, that is poultry keeping, and she was also able to understand her market. And now when she's able to expand, she will be expanding based on the knowledge that and experience that she has gained all through during the initial stages of the smaller beginning. Of course, even during that time, she is also facing certain challenges. Of course, number one is the feed cost. According to Daily Nation, not daily, but Daily Business, which I read some few weeks ago, almost 30 feed manufacturers, animal feed manufacturers have closed, 30. And 20 of them 15 of them have closed because of lack of raw materials, and the remaining 15 have closed because of government policies in terms of the taxes, double taxation, and of course, now when you import some of these raw materials that are needed in feed manufacturing, the taxes are so high. So 15 have closed because of inadequate raw materials, and then another 15 have closed because of the government policies. That means that the remaining ones will always enjoy some form of monopoly and increase the prices. Therefore, following that, the closure of those number of companies, UNGA, which she has acknowledged is one of the best for her poultry, increased the prices. And that one was followed by a number of other companies, which also increased the cost of feed. The other one is, of course, the vaccine and drugs, which are also causing a bit of the challenges. And therefore, all these costs are passed to the consumer, that is you and I. So I would say that in a nutshell, she has done very well in balancing the three pillars and logistics. One thing that most of us miss is when we see or when we read very nice stories on the newspaper or on the internet, and you are told that Wekesa left his lucrative job to go from chicken farming. That is only a quarter of the story. The other story is only Wekesa who can actually narrate. So when I produce for I produce or I establish my chicken farm here in Nairobi, the producers will be different. So what she did, which is very commendable, is
Sorry for that, because of network, our guest has dropped off, but he will be back in a short while. Let's explore what he was saying.
Still making the sector less competitive. KTN's Noah Kipkemboi now reports on key interventions to turn around the sector.
COVID-19 is proving to be a burden to dairy farmers, leading to reduced production of milk.
The intakes to the formal sector have dropped. Before COVID, we were producing, we had 63 million liters in January, and now in July we have experienced a drop where we have a total intake of 42 million liters going into the formal sector.
One of the impediments the sector continues to face remains high cost of production around inputs.
We depend on imports for our raw materials. And once the imports go up, the cost of dairy meal goes up.
Looking at other ways of supporting production of raw materials for animal feed. For instance, we are looking at Galana Kulal, so we should dedicate most of that land to producing raw materials for animal feed so that you can be able to bring down animal feed.
Although the Ministry of Agriculture issued a circular setting the minimum price of milk per litre, farmers are still baying for more.
Okay, I put that clip just to continue with what you were saying. So as you finish with what you are saying, you will also have to tell us how COVID-19 has affected these three corners of the triangle. Are you back? Network-wise.
Yes, sir, yeah, I got lost in terms of network, and I was just concluding by saying that the lady has done very well by balancing the three corners of the triangle. Of course, those challenges are outside factors that are not within what she can control. And that's why now we call upon the government to come up with friendly policies that are going to boost and to encourage farming to be adopted as a business. I've also found this clip going on that is regarding dairy farming. And of course, I was trying to address the issue of feed manufacturing. One of the key components in most manufacturers are replacing omena with soya. And soya, apart from whatever little that is being produced in this country, majority of it comes from Tanzania, and to the large extent is coming from Zambia. So we are talking about the imports of the raw materials. And looking at the whole process, I'll tell you that the cost of soya per kilo went up to 3 times the normal cost per kilo. And this is what dairy farmers are really lamenting on. I've also had a certain voice talking about government setting minimum prices for per liter for farmers for milk, but they have not also set the minimum, the maximum feed cost that farmers should be buying at. So they are putting farmers in a certain cage where they are not able to realize any profit. And if you look at now the statistics, which is out there, is that most people are dropping farming because of these unfriendly policies. So at the end of the day, either there is someone who wants our farmers to fail so that they can take an opportunity to bring products from outside, or the government is just giving a deaf ear to the cries of the farmers. I've seen the Association of Feed Manufacturers holding press conferences each and every time to try to get the attention of the government and even the minister to address this, because really not the feed manufacturers who are being affected, but the consumers led by farmers, then you and I. COVID-19 has really affected the issue of market, because first we are talking about the job opportunities which are lost by members of the society, and therefore the economy has not been doing very well. It means purchasing power of people has been reduced, and this has got direct correlation with the demand for the products that are being produced, and therefore you'll find that particular person talking about the milk production and even consumption going down from 63 million liters to 42 million liters. That's a very, very big change in terms of either production or consumption. So really COVID-19 has really affected in terms of markets, that is the purchasing power. Then number two, in terms of logistics, you remember there's a time when curfew, countrywide curfew was imposed all over. And that means if you you don't have, or if you are not classified as essential service provider, you cannot move from one region to another, or you could not move from one region to another. And even if you are classified, or when you are classified as a essential service provider, and you don't have the requisite documents to pass through, you could still see even policemen holding trucks that are ferrying foodstuff from one region to another. And during this period of time, we could see a rise in prices of certain commodities to a level because of the cut in the supply chain process. Out of that, again, you'll realize that there is a demand which was created, the demand for like lemon and lemon products, because it was believed that lemon has got a higher percentage of fighting COVID-19. So the prices of lemon, actually, someone was joking and telling me that for him, he is now selling lemon, and he is a millionaire because of selling lemon. So you realize COVID, as much as it had negative consequences, it also had positive consequences on the same. A lot
But
more needs
before you move,
to
you have
yes.
brought up the issue of essential services.
Yes.
I find it like there's a group of people who are discriminated out of this. A farmer, maybe the middleman is given opportunity to transport the products because it's an essential service. And then the goods reach on the market. For example, let's say it's vegetables. So when the vegetables reach on the market, there is Mama Mboga who has to sell the vegetables. I didn't see Mama Mbogas having essential service certificates such that they can sell their products and not be harassed by police. So how was that issue handled? I think there's one part that did not get the service properly.
Okay. You see the nationwide curfew, especially the ones that at the initial stages was from 7 p.m. By 7 p.m., everybody should be in the house, not outside. And to address this equation of Mama Mboga being discriminated, Mama Mboga is not moving the produce from one region to another. Mama Mboga is stationed at one location, and therefore it's the consumer who is supposed to go there early, or who was supposed to go there early, pick whatever is picking, and Mama Mboga should be closing by 6:59 p.m. to go back to the house. The essential service category was only for those who are transporting or making sure that the food and foodstuff move from one location to another. And Mama Mboga was not part of that. Again, later on, it was even made easy even for small-scale farmers, whom we can also put in that category of Mama Mboga, where they were issued with permits or with the letters to facilitate their movement. And I believe it's only out of ignorance that some people decided not to get this letter and make them enjoy some of these services during that period of time. But again, I would say that at the initial stages, police did not handle even those who we can say are big movers of foodstuff from one region to another. They did not handle them in a nice way. So as we moved towards the end of May, June, July, I think things stabilized, and even mama mbogas were able to understand that their presence is only needed from 4 a.m. to 6:59 p.m. After that, they are supposed to be indoors, because who is buying from them if everyone else is supposed to observe curfew? Yeah.
Okay, and then let's see how where do we place this part in the triangle, the processing part. I think
bosi iliharibika, chemeli hakuna haifanyi, muhoroni naye ni shida hivyo hivyo. Hata ukipeleka mewa wako chemeli ile, hata wakifungua hakuna malipo. Sasa tumeteseka ya kutosha kama wakulima hapa Nandi. Sasa tunaomba serikali yetu ya kaunti ya Nandi itusaidie na kiwanda, watutafutie investor atuletee hapa Nandi, atujengee kiwanda ya miwa. Ile miwa yetu hatutakuwa tunateseka. Sasa tunateseka, hata watoto wa shule imekuwa shida, ni shida. Sasa uwezi peleka mtoto shule sasa.
Now here are farmers who are suffering because the processing farm has been closed down. Is it under logistics or processing is or on its own in our triangle of production?
Of course, the farmers down there are under primary production, and therefore they deliver their raw materials in almost in a natural form, and therefore it's the issue of the market, not even the issue of processing, because processing is done by the market which they deliver their goods to. So the farmer is not even concerned on whether they, the market is not concerned on whether they are delivering processed sugarcane or sugarcane in its natural form. And the farmer is delivering sugarcane in its natural form. So the issue here is the market, which is now the processing industries or sugar manufacturing industries, which have almost closed shop. So they are stuck with their products. They cannot take it to any market because for this particular product, the market is very specific. It's very specific in terms of it has only specific manufacturers who are taking in that product. So that issue is the market issue, not logistics. Because you could see their tractors are stuck all over with the products. Yeah.
Okay, then so if as a specialist, how would you advise cane farmers? Because me, I come from a place where we grow cane, and one of the thing, actually, my father grew cane when I was going to Form 1, and I finished Form 4. He had never earned from the product. So how do you advise farmers who are growing such like cash crops that take long maybe for you to get the returns? And sometimes the purpose of why you're growing it, you may not achieve the financial goals. It takes 3 years maybe to be harvested, 2 to 3 years. And then after that, a farmer waits for money for another 1, 2, 3 years to get the money. How do you advise farmers in such a situation?
Number one, I would try to look at it in terms of the effects of shifting from sugarcane production to any other product in our economy. What will be the effect? There is a time I was in those areas where sugar is being produced, and if one farmer told me that he plants and wait for 18 months for the cane to mature. Thereafter, he will wait even for another 1 year for him to be paid. And if you look at what is going to be paid, even during that long period of time of waiting, per acre, this person only told me he's expecting 45,000. And now you've waited for almost 3 years for 45,000. Because sugarcane and its products are very, very essential in our diets. I mean, we have to have sugar for our breakfast and even for other items like sweets and every other thing. I would farmer side. Now, if I start with the farmer, I would advise cane farmers to diversify even to other products that have got very short-term gains. That takes between 75 to 120 days for them to be able to meet up some of their immediate needs, and set up other sides for sugarcane farming. Because one thing that we have to understand is that some of us, there is a spot in our land where I've never seen sugarcane being removed, even up to date. So that means sugarcane has been there in as much as I can remember. And to erase this particular behavior, it needs a lot of behavior change from our farmers, because they will ask you, I stopped producing sugarcane for me to produce what? In other areas where tea and coffee has not been doing very well, they are uprooting coffee and tea to replace with avocado, which is also a very good frontier under fruits, which is coming up and developing very, very well as an alternative to these long-term crops which we have known all the time. Now, farmers in different regions, like when you talk about sugar belt, they just need to identify a different product which is best fitting the climatic conditions of those regions, or ecologically fit to be produced in those regions, but have got shorter lifespan, in order for them to replace sugarcane with another product. For example, when you talk about something like sweet potatoes, I know when you talk about sweet potato, you are looking at that potato in its raw form. But I've seen even internationally, different companies are trying to find where can they produce a specific variety of potatoes that can be used to make crisps, to make chips, and so many other things. So it's upon the farmers to labor on information finding to see where can they fit in, and they start value addition immediately, because products in their natural form will always fetch lesser compared to when value is added upon them. So I would tell farmers to diversify, but then I would try to talk to the government if given an opportunity, that the policies, especially the import policies of sugar from different regions, are the ones that are killing the sugar industry in the region. And it's because of corruption, because of selfishness from our leaders, and lack of care at all, even for the population. So you realize, what am I going to gain in the importation process? If my cat is there, then I don't want to know whether it's my brother who is going to be stuck with the cane in the farm, as long as I get my cat from the importation process, which is very, very discouraging. The other time you saw maize farmers making noise to the Senate committee, which happens again to be like another toothless dog in terms of fighting for any policy change by the national, that is the parliament, the parliament, the National Assembly. Yeah, those would be my two cents on that. Are we together, Wekesa? Or I lost you?
Sorry, my network was hanging. Sorry for that. Yeah, so I think I want us to check whether we can knock out.
Was to understand Nairobi Farmers Market and the concept. I would describe it simply as cutting out that that big middleman challenge. So what is this? It's farmers just saying, look, here's our produce. We're here. We're going to sell it. And why was this started? What's the premise of the Nairobi Farmers Market?
The premise is really to bring the cost of food down to our final consumers. But then at the same time, there's something called traceability in food production, and it's extremely important. You're able to trace where is your food coming from. Get to know your farmer. In our case, we have a concept that we call For You by Us. And because we train young people on production of food, using modern science and technology, we are able now to tell the consumers, we grow this food for you, it's grown for you by us. And you can trace that food back to where that farmer is growing the food. Now, that's one of them. So we shorten the supply chain by taking out the middleman. So that 30 or 40% additional cost that could have been there that goes to the middleman, it comes as savings now to the farmer, now to the final consumer. Right. We are also able to pay the farmer a little bit better than they would when they're buying. So
if I come to the farmer's market, yes, I'm buying from the farmer?
No, you're buying now from the folks who bring, like us now, we are producers. I produce food. Then from our farm directly to our shop at Farmers Market. Okay. We have other farmers who come directly every single day. They bring food from the farm to the market. That way, the cost of food comes down. Then at the same time, you get to know the source of your food. At the same time, you're looking at the safety, and also because the issue of safety is very important. If you don't know where your food is being grown, yes, you cannot trace it back. Then sometimes you don't even know what you're eating.
To enable the country to attain food security. Speaking during the official launch of Nairobi Farmers Market, Professor Dominic Mwenja, a farmer, entrepreneur and CEO of the California Miramar University, Kenya, said there is need for the country to embrace growing food with hydroponics, which use less space and has high yields. The market will be operated by farmers who sell their produce directly to consumers bypassing brokers and middlemen. Jeff Mondia, the general manager of the market, says the initiative is to bring farmers closer to the consumer.
Within the next 2 to 5 years, we should be able, every Kenyan should be able to get their green fruits and vegetables, the leafy vegetables, regardless of where they live, because the technology and the science is there to allow us to do that. That's why vertical farming for us is extremely important. What Nairobi Farmers Market has done is to make it possible for this food to come directly from the farms into the market itself. That means the prices are competitive, the supply is even throughout the year.
All the produce you buy from us comes directly from farmers. That way you get a good price, and also you get traceability. Anything you buy from us, we can take you back to the farm and show you all the good farming practices that were used to create this produce that we sell here. So our promise is not only value, it's a promise of quality as well.
The prices are very friendly and their products are very fresh and good.
Okay, sorry again for the interference with network. So is it possible to knock out the middleman and create value for the products of customer. Because most of the time, farmers, the products are very expensive because of the chain, the middleman. I don't know if I have lost you again. Abok. Hello? Are you there? You are on mute, Abok.
I'll give you an example of... hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Proceed.
Yes. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, proceed. I can hear you.
Are you? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's very possible. A sack of 65 kgs or 50 kilos of potatoes is going for 500 at the farm. Almost all brokers add 300 on top of this, and the transport of 200 to make the 50 bag or 65 bag to trade at 1100 here in Nairobi. So what would happen if you eliminate 300 out of this? It means that this bag you are likely to get it at, say, even 700 shillings. But because of the middlemen who are there, sometimes you even get it at 1200 or thereabout. So with the establishment of the farmers market, though I've not been there, but I think it's a reprieve to most farmers because they can deliver directly to the market without having brokers in between. There was a time my friend delivered goods to Marikiti, and he stayed there for 2 days until he gave up and said, let me sell it at a price I can sell, because of the dominance of brokers in the market, which actually is a frustrating factor to farmers in their way to getting a secure and reliable market for their products.
Yeah. Again, the network is very good today. We apologize for that.
What exactly goes into that, and how can we, perhaps farmers, be more efficient so that they're able to get more with less, perhaps?
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to really talk about in this country is our approach to food production and really the attitude that we have when you look at food production and when you look at farming. And for example, there's this conversation around agribusiness and young people in farming. And you hear people say, for example, that there's money in the soil. I keep asking, if someone tells you, if you're broke and someone tells you that there's 2,000 shillings under your bed, will your bedding survive the violence that will be there to try to get the 2,000 shillings under the
Saying the cost of production, Emmanuel, what exactly goes into that, and how can we, perhaps farmers, be more efficient so that they're able to get more with less, perhaps?
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to really talk about in this country is our approach to food production and really the attitude that we have when you look at food production and when you look at farming. And for example, there is this conversation around agribusiness and young people in farming. And you hear people say, for example, that there's money in the soil. I keep asking, you know, if someone tells you, if you're broke and someone tells you that there's 2,000 shillings under your bed, you know, will your bedding survive the violence that will be there to try to get the 2,000 shillings under the bed?
Okay, so we have had Benard Abok, who has had challenges with the network. I'm not sure if he's coming back or the network is still disturbing him. Okay, for the comment section, we have our friends. Shadi says, Wekesa, how are you, bro? I missed you. Thank you. Say hi to Abok. Yeah, I will say hi to him shortly. He's coming back. He has been having network challenges. Okay. Abok, are you back? Funani says greetings to everyone. Sasa has updated something I can't read. Sawa. So Abok, you can make a summary of what we have been talking about before the network cut you off again.
Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Kindly proceed and make your conclusion now. Okay. Are you still there?
I pray that it doesn't cut me
Today
off again.
network is very terrible. Huh?
Yeah, so we were, yeah, I was talking about the farmers market, which has brought some form of reprieve.
Okay. Yeah, we were doing that program for 1 hour. I think we are remaining with 4 minutes to 9. And we want to conclude the session from there. We will be having the other political session coming after 9. Yeah, thank you so much for Bwana Abok for coming to this studio and sharing information to do with successful farming and the pillars of farming, that is production, logistics, and market. One of the key things that he said that I need not to forget is that you don't produce, then you go to and look for the market. But you begin with the market in the mind. You need to do your market research and ensure you have a market for the products you're producing, so that you don't produce and then you are unable to sell your produce. So if you have a market in mind, it's easier you will know how much you can produce, so that there's no wastage in terms of your inputs. And I'm trying to get him back, but okay. So producing with the market in mind is very important. And then you also have to consider logistics, which affects your pricing and transport of your product to the market. So those are 3 things he was considering in this discussion. that are necessary for you to have your products produced, taken to the market and bought at the right time so that you make profit. And yeah, most people used to do farming for subsistence, for consumption, but in the agribusiness where you have to make money from the produce, then you need to exactly consider those three factors. I want him to give his parting shots because we are having challenges with the network. He will also maybe advise our farmers from the northern or the arid and semi-arid areas who especially do animal production, and they are always affected by droughts. Abok, are you back? Benard. Benard, can you make your parting shots? Okay. Since we can't get him, we will end the program there. Thank you so much for our viewers who have taken time to follow up with this program. On every Wednesday, we bring you Opportunity Wednesday. We bring different people in different careers and professions who shed light on different topics, especially the young people who are making it in different spheres of life. So if you have a topic that you want us to share, you think we can communicate to the world, just talk to us and we will be able to give you a session any of the Wednesdays that we are available. We also do other sessions that may not necessarily fit on a Wednesday. So when you talk to us, we can link you up and have you aired. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a lovely night. Let's meet in the other sessions. Sorry for the network interference. We will work on that. Good night.